my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and these are the hottest Golden Age comics for the week. And it's a pretty good list. We're going to start out with the steal of the week. Number 10 on the list is Batman 68. This is from DC Comics 1951. It is just a early Two-Face cover. It's a Golden Age Two-Face cover. There's not too many Two-Face covers from the Golden Age, and this one shows him prominently on the cover. It's a Win Mortimer cover as well. And this sale was kind of a little bit under what you would expect it to go for. So this was a 9.0 that sold, and it sold for $4,700. It had 46 bids. It was quite active. It just didn't sell for that much. For 9.0, you would expect this book to sell for a lot more based on historical sales. So during the comic boom, this book actually had a record sale, a massive sale, back in June of 2021 for $16,800. So almost 4 times what it sold for this time. However, this book had kind of plummeted after that. It went down to, this next sale was like an $8,000 sale. And then this year it sold in March for $4,059. So it sort of skyrocketed and then plummeted. But it's kind of recovering, but still what I would call a steal. Whenever you can get a book for 1/3 or 1/4 of what it had sold for in the past, I think that's a steal, especially if it's a Golden Age book. And this one isn't that rare. There's 198 of them on the census, and 186 are blue labels. But still, it was a pretty good sale for somebody. Somebody got a pretty great deal on this book. That's number 10 on the list. Number 9 on the list is Batman number 1. Now, this is a major book. I mean, this is DC 1940. It's a Bob Kane cover, and it's the first Joker, first Cat, and it is the book where Batman gets the first titled book after him. So this was an interesting one because this was a page that sold, and it was page 18, and it sold for $899. Now, this is actually kind of a key page in a weird way. It's not, there's pages within Batman 1 that go for more money and others that go for less because of what key significance is on the page. So, for example, if the page has Joker on it, well, it goes for a bit more money because Batman 1 is the first appearance of the Joker, so it's going to kind of command a bit more money. This one is sort of that next tier because it's the first time where they mention the cat. Now, they don't show the cat. It's not until Batman number 3, which is right behind me, that they actually show the Catwoman or the cat as in costume. So this just shows a letter that says the cat had stolen all this stuff. So it's an interesting book, interesting page actually. So this page sold for $899. Now, this is actually down from its record. It had a record back in 2021. So another page that had gone up during the comic boom, where it sold for $1,195. Now, this page hasn't really been performing that well since that record sale. Generally, lately, it's been really fluctuating. Like pages in terms of the standardization of price, not really there yet. It's just they're all over the place. They range from anywhere from, in the last year or two, they've been selling from anywhere from $200 all the way up to $845 was the most recent record. So this is a new record compared to what they've been selling for, but it didn't pass that all-time record set back in 2021. Batman 1 has over 300 on the census, 304 actually, and 146 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Now, with this book, you have to realize that 304, that actually does include a lot of 0.5 grades. And often when you when you look at the census, you'll realize that actually a lot of the books aren't even books. They're these pages. If you look at GPA analysis, often they will label it as a 0.5 grade, even though it's in the CGC, it's labeled as a page, PG, which is page. Often GPA analysis will label it as a 0.5. So it really inflates the census numbers because there's a lot of pages out there, but there's not that many books. So something to be aware of with Batman 1. The next book on the list is Batman number 5. This is another really great Batman book, number 8 on the list, and it is from DC Comics 1941, another Bob Kane cover. This one is interesting because on it, Batman doesn't have his emblem on his chest. He's just like, it's just grace instead of like having the typical bat on his chest. This is also the first appearance of the Batmobile, and it's the first appearance of Linda Page, who was kind of like this socialite who was sort of the girlfriend of Batman. She's sort of on and off girlfriend for Batman, or Bruce Wayne. So just a kind of a key book for, well, first Batmobile. That's kind of a major one. I'm not a big fan of the cover, to tell you the truth. I think it's not as exciting as some of the other covers, but it's an interesting cover. This was a 3.0 restored book that sold, and it sold for $1,695. Now, that's actually a new record for this book. Not much of a record. It's a slight increase from the previous record. The previous record was set back in June of 2023, and it sold for $1,676. So an extra $19. Not a massive increase, but it is a new record. Now, just to give you a comparison, a Blue Label version of the same book would sell for $3,000. The record on that was set back in January of 2023 for $3,227.90. So almost twice as much in the Blue Label than the 3.0 restored, which is kind of interesting. Usually, actually, when you get to those 3.0 restored levels, like in terms of the grade, usually you don't have a 50% decrease in value. Typically, it's more like 60 to 70%. So the fact that it sold for less than half, or around half, means that actually it's a bit of a weaker priced book. Maybe actually some room to grow in terms of the restored price for this one. So a bit of a good buy, actually, I would say. So there's 296 of these on the census, and 228 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So you'll notice that if you do the math, that's a lot of restored copies on the census. Okay, so number 7 on the list is Captain America number 1. This is from Timely 1941. It is a Jack Kirby cover, and it is the first appearance of Captain America, Bucky, and the Red Skull. And it has a great Captain America punching Hitler on the cover. So just a great book, major key for Marvel collectors. And this one is interesting because it's another page sale. It's a page number 25. And it sold for $2,125. So this one is interesting, though, because it was not just a page. It's a signed page. So it was signed by Stan Lee, who had nothing to do with this one. I don't know why Stan Lee signed it, but it's signed by Stan Lee. And this is a massive sale actually for this book, for this page. Typically, you don't find unsigned, or you don't find signed pages from Captain America #1. So I don't have anything to compare it to in terms of sales history. There's no sales history for signed pages. So the only thing I have to compare it to are unsigned pages, or the standard page. Typically, like the last sale for a page was back in 2023, so this year, for $480. Now, there was a record for this page that was set back in 2021 for $872. Now, it is worth noting that this page is not a great page. It's not actually a key page. It doesn't have Bucky. It doesn't have Captain America. It doesn't have Red Skull on it. It's a page of the Hurricane, which is a secondary character that was in the comic. So not a key for the collector to go after. But you can say, hey, I have a page from Captain America, but it's not a page that represents any of the characters that you'd be chasing after. Now, actually, I did see this a page currently on eBay for Captain America #1 with both Bucky and Captain America on that page. And the bid, as I'm recording this, is in that $1,000 range. And it's unsigned. It's not so... There is obviously an inflation based on the signature. So I'm thinking that page will probably go for something similar to this signed copy, this signed one, just because people will want to have that first appearance page from Captain America. So it just shows you not all pages are obviously created equal. Like having some ad page would be just as lame as having a non-key page, So that's what this is, a non-key page. But it just shows you the value of both the signature and having that just a little piece of history from Captain America #1. I'd love to hear what people think. Do you think buying pages is a good investment? I'd love to hear that. So far, from what I've, having done this list many times, and pages do come up once in a while. This is 2 on this list. I see pages really going all over the place in terms of pricing. Like, there's no stability yet in terms of how much you should expect to pay for a page. But just something interesting to look at. There's 192 of these on the census. And 95 are universal blue labels. Number 6 on the list is Haunted Thrills #14. This is from Farrell from 1954. It's a really great one. It's a girl in the red dress, and you got this well in behind her with a monster like reaching out and grabbing her. Just a great pre-code horror cover. The artist is not known for this book, but it was done by the Iger shop, which had a great stable of artists. Now, this was a 6.0 that came up for sale, and it sold for $2,299.99. And that is a massive sale for this book. The previous record for this book was $1,839.19, set back in June of 22. And this is actually the highest sale for this book in any grade. So there are much higher grades on the census, but they haven't sold recently. And this is a new record right across the board for this book. So just a massive sale, up $400 from what it had sold for just last year. So yeah, just a really big sale. There are 27 of these on the census, and 24 of them are universal blue labels. Next on the list, number 5, is Airboy Comics, Volume 4, number 8. And this is from Hillman Publications, 1947. It is Arthur Petty and Bernard Sachs cover, and it's a great one. Actually, you can see it right behind me as well, right there, sort of. I can't really point very well, but it's just a great cover. It's one where you got the woman attached to a airplane propeller, and Air Boy is going off. He's gonna take off, but he's blindfolded, so he doesn't realize that this girl is attached to the propeller, and obviously something bad's gonna happen. It's his girlfriend. Bad things are gonna happen. So just a very cool bondage cover, and that's the appeal of this book. This was a 6.5 that sold, and it sold for $2,550. Now, this is a new record for this book. The previous record was set back in 2019, October 2019, for $2,280. So it's up $300 from the previous sale. Now, this one's a pretty great book. Finding it in that high grade is pretty hard, actually. There's only 40 of these on the census, and 39 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So just a hard book to find, and one that collectors love because of this bondage element. So just a cool one. Whoever got that got a good buy on that one, I think. Number 4 on the list is another classic cover. It is Space Adventures number 12. This is from 1954, Charlton. Charlton. I always say Charlton. But it's a Steve Ditko cover, and it's one that's been actually homaged many times. Even Bruce Timm homaged it. It's a classic sci-fi cover with the girl with the bubble helmet, and you got it's sort of like a trope where you got the monster coming in through the door, and you got this woman just sort of casually sitting there. Just a very cool cover. So this was a 6.5 that sold, and it had a massive sale. It sold for $2,950. The previous record for this book was set back in July of 2020 for $1,180. So almost 3 times what it had sold for just a couple of years ago, a few years ago. Just a massive sale. What can you say? It's like a massive sale. There are 78 of these on the census, and 76 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So just a great sale for a very cool, iconic cover. It's a classic sci-fi. Number 3 on the list is True Love Pictorial number 11. This is from St. John Publications, 1954. Is actually the last issue of the run, and it's a Matt Baker cover. Now, this is one of those ones where it's something where Matt Baker collectors would chase after it, because it's the last in the series. Usually, the last issues in any series have like lower printings, because it's kind of when the series is failing and it just gets lower and lower printings. So it's a fairly rare book. Now, this was a 5.5 that sold, and it sold for $3,499. Now, this is a new record. It's the only sale in this grade, but it's the highest sale across all grades for this book. The only other sale that is kind of comparable was a 6.0 sold back in November of 2020 for $1,200. So this is 3 times higher than what the half grade point had sold for 3 years ago. So just a massive sale, another massive sale. And this just shows the heat of certain books, like either pre-code horror or classic covers, classic artists. And Matt Baker is one of those classic artists that people are chasing after right now. Just a really big sale. There are only 28 of these on the census, and 21 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 2 on the list is Superman number 14. This is another classic cover. This is from DC 1942. It is a very Americana cover. It's like, got Superman posing in front of a giant American shield, and he's got a bald eagle sitting on sitting on him. It's just a classic Americana patriotic cover. The cover was done by Fred Ray, and this was a 3.5 that sold, and it sold for $3,999.99. I love that when they do that 9 thing where they just try to make it sound like, oh, it's so much cheaper. It's like a penny cheaper than 4,000, but it was $3,999.99. So kind of a fun pricing on this one. This had a previous record set back in July of 2022 for $3,360. So it's up about 30% from its prior record. And just a classic book. This is one of those ones where it's Superman collectors would go after, or patriotic collectors would go after this one, because it is like one of those iconic covers. There's 247 of these on the census, and 191 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 1 on the list is Superman 76. Now this is an interesting one. This is from December 1952. Is actually the time where you got both Superman and Batman on the cover. And that is not the key significance with this book, but it is a key for the fact that it is the first time that Batman and Superman learn each other's secret identities. So kind of a cool book in terms of lore of the two characters. Another Win Mortimer cover. And this one had just a massive sale. It sold in an 8.5 for $7,199.99. The previous record for this book was set back in June of 2022 for $6,888. So it's up about $200-300 from that previous sale. But it's the biggest sale of the week. These sales all are from eBay. So this was the biggest price that was sold on eBay for this week. So just a massive sale. It shows you that you don't have to go to Heritage to spend big money. You can go to eBay and spend big money for Golden Age. So there are 340 of these on the census, and 307 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So just a strong sale for a great book. Very cool book where you have both Superman and Batman on the cover. So those are the hottest Golden Age books of the week. What did you think? What do you think about Pages? What do you think about these Golden Age kind of hot things that are right now really popular, which is Key Artists and Pre-Code Horror? On the list also had some Good Girl. I try to include a little bit of everything, like superhero, PCH, Good Girl, Key Artists. It's a challenge to do that with all within a 10 list. So what did you think of the list? Was there something you would have liked to have seen on the list? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.